Here. All right, we've got Mr. Cunliffe on his world tour. He's zooming in from his hotel. He's traveling all over the place. Eddie, give us a kind of a recap again. Where are you traveling to? What are you seeing? Why are you on the road?
I'm on the road because I have a deal with all of my owners. As soon as they have a $25,000 wire, I'm coming. And I run a badass opportunity meeting, but I've kind of explained to some of the other guys, like, if you have an $11,000 wire, I'm not going to come run an opportunity meeting and get all the guys excited if they don't really have an opportunity. So, yeah, so I've been doing lots of trips, I'm pleased to say.
That's great. I remember years ago I can't remember what you titled it, but like, you're in trouble when, and one of the bullets was when your opportunity meeting is just theory.
Theory. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the theory of an opportunity, not the actual realization of an opportunity, just the theory of an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the people you want to recruit are sharp. So they'll sit and they'll go, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. So who's the assistant manager? Oh, yeah. We don't have one of those, you know? Um, Whatever.
Yeah. All right. All right, Ed. Well, hey, listen, it's awesome getting you on a call. I mean, I think it's always great to kind of start here. I mean, wasn't that long ago we had COVID? Wasn't that long ago where all of us, but your crew is, you were not pleased with where you were at. And it seems like every Friday I get the email from you, your org, and like, hey, another record-breaking week. And the next week, hey, another record-breaking week. So every week is better than the previous week. You've just been on this upward trajectory. When I checked in with you at the beginning of the week, your average owner is getting a $16,000 wire. That's the average owner. A few weeks before that, the average owner was getting around 18,000. Just like, man, your average owner, 18,000. I mean, man, good things are going. You must feel great that the reps are making money, your owners are making money. And so I just want you to kind of talk about, again, just pound for pound, what's going on in your org, what you're seeing going on in your org, and then I'll kind of get into some details with what you're seeing with Mr. Hagman specifically, but just overall the Cunliffe org.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm actually going to start about 4 years ago. And he didn't know it at the time, but Brad Park said something to me that was very impactful. And I don't even think it was impactful at the time. It was impactful a few days later after I chewed on it. And I won't name any names, but in 2017, my org was doing about 600,000 a week. And so at that time, I'm like, oh, we're going to be doing 1 million by 2020, easy. And then we had to kick, a pretty big name out of the business that had a big crew, and he took a lot of owners with him, and whatever. And then whenever I had this conversation with Brad, there was another consultant, and it wasn't Jamie, but there was another consultant who was doing, 550,000 a week, and I was doing like 300,000. And I was just chatting with Brad, shooting the shit, having a beer. And I said, I know I'm better at the business than this person. And he goes, what did you just say? I said, I'm better at the business than this person. He goes, well, right now you're not. And right now is all that matters. I was like, damn. And, I would go to conferences and whatnot. And you guys know how it goes. Sometimes, you're constantly up on stage, and other times you're just sitting in your seat. And I remember going to that next conference, and this person's crew was just, cleaning up. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, he's just working harder than I am. That's it. That's it. And so, in 2019, no, maybe 2020, like post COVID, whenever that was, I've lost track of time. My org did 239,000. So I wasn't even on consultant standards or senior national standards. And that same week, Sebastian's org did like 300,000. And that was the first time ever that, and something went off in my brain. And I texted him, and Sab can tell you that, you know, I said, I said 300,000. I gave him the clap sign. Said, that's awesome. You beat me this week. This will be the last time you ever beat me, and I'm going to double you up, is what it said in the text. I'm very competitive. And what was going on at the time was coming out of COVID, I was just hearing a lot of excuses, you know, from guys that weren't doing very well. They weren't going in the field when they should have been. And they were saying stuff like, well, things are different now. Everything's different. Like recruiting's different. This is different. That's different. And then somebody said something like, you know, Ed, people don't even want to talk to us anymore out in the field. And I was like, that doesn't even make sense. But I didn't have any credibility, so to speak. So at that time, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go in the field for the next 6 weeks. And I felt like that was you go for a week and people are like, whatever. Thought 6 weeks was a good number. And I set myself up to where I couldn't get out of it. Because the thought of going in the field at 45 with a wife and 3 kids is way worse than actually going. So what I did was I got territory in Greenville, South Carolina, which is 2.5 hours away from Atlanta. And I left every Monday morning and I came back on Saturday. And my wife was not happy about it, trust me. But I was like, I gotta do it. And I did. And I made 30 grand in 6 weeks as a rep. And after that, I then had a rebuttal, if you will, when I was talking to the owner with a $7,000 wire. And I'm like, hey, this is what you need to do. Like, I'm looking at your numbers. The numbers have been the same for the last 3 years. Like nothing's going to change if nothing changes. I'm like, what you need, you don't have a white rabbit in your office. There's nobody doing that well. You keep telling me, oh, I'm working on recruiting. I'm like, even if you are, it's a fucking waste of time, because the sharp person coming in, you're going to do their paperwork, da da da, and then who's going to train them? Oh, the guy who made $638 last week, who can't pay his bills, who's probably negged out, who's going to then talk to this trainee like, yeah, I'm not making any money. You know what I mean? So I'm like, here's how it works. Like, you got to have a white rabbit. You got to have somebody setting the pace and making the field look easy, right? And they wouldn't do it. And so after I did it, and they would say to me, well, I can't really go in the field. I'm like, fuck off. Like, fuck off. I just did it as a 45-year-old guy. It was very humbling. You know, it's funny. You know, I'm residential, and just the people looking at me like, oh, look at this poor bastard, you know, knocking on doors. But it gave me some, I don't know what, leverage or whatever. And from there, you know, yeah, like Jamie said, it's been kind of crazy. And what has happened in the org is that the quickest answer is we've just raised the standard, you know, of what is good. Because 10 years ago, a $10,000 wire was all right, you know, but now it's not. It's not. If you have like 3 good reps, 4 maybe, you can have a $10,000 wire, right? And so 10,000 wire is not good. And I'm sorry if I'm hurting anyone's feelings, but Brad hurt my feelings, and it helped me out a lot a few years ago, right? And so you know, I do think there's a system to everything. And so here's what I think. I think you have to have a white rabbit. And if you don't have one, you need to be the white rabbit. It's your business. Nobody should be more interested in your business's success than you. And then if you are the white rabbit, it's easy to develop a couple more white rabbits, because people learn through experience. They learn with their eyes. So they don't learn from reading a training manual, right? So you just take out your next best guys and show them this is how you do it. And it's so simple. Guys that make $638 in the field are not working the system, and their pitch is horrible, and their rebuttals are terrible, and they take soft nose, right? It's very easy to get somebody who wants to do well to get them doing well. They're just doing the wrong stuff, right? So then you've got 3 or 4 people who are your core, you've got to make sure that they're all speaking the same language, their pitch is the same, so that any of them could take out the new guy and they're going to hear the same thing, so the new guy doesn't get confused. And then you build from that core. And then I think, once you get to, after that, then recruiting is the name of the game. Unfortunately, and I talked to Wiggins about this, unfortunately, we go to some meetings, keys or whatever, where the message a lot of times is recruiting is going to fix everything for you. And I could not disagree anymore. Because if you don't have the first two things in place, recruiting is actually the last thing you need. It's a negative. It's just the revolving door, right? New guys coming in, leaving, and then the leaders are like, I can't build a team. I had a team, no, I don't have a team. So anyway, I think that was kind of the impetus, if you will, the stimulus. And then from there, on an organizational level, and I'll take no credit for this, we have some really good white rabbits, right? And so when somebody's putting up a $70,000 wire or an $80,000 wire, the really good owner who's got like a $27,000 wire is like, oh fuck, I could be doing better. I should be doing better, And then all the boats in the bay sort of rise, and we all know this. Everyone loves recognition, right? And so I learned this from Hagman. He does a call every Friday with all of his offices and all the leaders. And if you didn't make $2,000 the week before, sorry, I ate some peanuts. Hang on one sec. If you didn't make $2,000 the week before, you're invisible. Like you don't get mentioned as a high roller, and you certainly don't do a high roller speech. And I'm like, that's genius, because the person who made $1,800, right? If you put them in another office, they're like, I'm good. I'll be taking Saturday off, But in that org, that person is like, damn, I got to do better next week, And that's kind of what's been happening, I think, on the org level. And one thing with me historically is I've been fairly inconsistent. I've been very consistent for the last couple of years with my weekly emails, and the whole 20, I have this thing, 25K, I'm coming your way, And so as soon as somebody hits 25 grand, I get there the night before, take the top guys out for a nice dinner. Then I'm in the office the next morning, opportunity meeting, blah, 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 hang out with the guys, have lunch with the owners, and then I go to the next place. And so I think I've got 3 more cities to go to in December. But so I think this year I'm going to have physically been in like 24 different offices, which I have never done, but I said I was going to do it. And obviously you got to do what you say you're going to do. So I think that's part of it, Mr. Hep.
Wow. 24 offices that have broken
not in Atlanta. Yeah.
That have broken the $25,000 threshold.
Yeah. So in the beginning that it was, I would go to St. Louis because obviously Rebby was doing that, and Hagman and those guys. But there's been a lot of, the guy who's putting up a 20,000 wire would text me and be like, Ed, you're going to be coming here soon. So it definitely works, because otherwise, it's pretty easy to be comfortable with a $20,000 wire.
Yeah, so we're in Dominican, right? So starts off at the promoting owners meeting, which was awesome. And Dominican overall, I had a wonderful time. And so there were a couple different breakouts we could go to. So the first breakout, I'm like, oh, Mr. Hagman, let me check in with Justin and see what's cooking. And so, I see Brendan Fulkerson in there. I see Vera in there as well too. And so, Justin's kind of recapping what's going on in his world. And and again, I just remember these numbers, Ed, and so I just want to kind of get your take on it. You know, he was talking about how he's getting $60,000 to $70,000 wires in Nashville. Then he's got Cooper getting $40,000 to $50,000 wires in Knoxville. He's got Cole getting 40 to 50 grand. Then he just opened up another owner getting 40 to 50 grand. I'm thinking between four owners, they're doing about $200,000 in weekly production. And I'm just like, and again, he's just saying that he wasn't trying to brag or boast. He was just kind of matter of fact as we're all kind of digging in, like what's going on. So I'm curious, since you're so close to the fire, I mean, what are you seeing with the Hagman organization?
Yeah, so all of those numbers are accurate, apart from Cooper is in the 60s and 70s. So it's nuts. They're doing like 230 with a handful of offices. So here's the thing about Hagman. He rubs people rubs a lot of people the wrong way, I think. He was a handful from the beginning, like a wild stallion that needed to be broken in. So I had promoted a girl called Hannah Hoffman, who he started in her office, and she sent him to my office week one because he was such a pain in the ass. You know, would say all the controversial things in front of everybody. Very skeptical, whatever. But he's also he's very smart. He kind of acts like I'm from Kentucky and I don't know anything, and he'll do that if you play poker with him as well. He'll be like, I ain't never played poker before, and then he'll shuffle the deck like. So just that's how he operates. So Hageman, I think, is, and this is a funny thing to say, Hageman is a legit business person. In that, you know, I think a lot of owners in our business, I call them entrepreneurs, you know. They're not really entrepreneurs. They, you know, they can kind of stick to the system or whatever, but he thinks everything through. Like there is a method, there's a strategy to everything. I actually think one of the reasons why all of his guys are doing very well is his territory management system is next level. Next level. It's crazy good. So if you ever get an opportunity to learn how he manages his territory, I'd be all over that. It's really good. They are so on top of it. And I think, you know, other than that, his philosophy when he hires somebody is, I need a solid 12 to 15 months to teach you all the things you're going to need to know before you're going to be a good owner. And so there is a lot of daily development, and he does a lot of financial education with them and whatnot. And you know, he's pretty good at hiring the right guys, and then they are all super competitive. You know, so I think that's part of it. And you know, he would have played in the major leagues. You know, he got drafted to the Reds and then blew his shoulder out, but he was like good. He was throwing 97 in college. So I think that a lot of times people that come from athletic backgrounds, you know, I think there's a lot of correlation between sports and our business. And you know, some of the stuff that he's good at, you know, he kind of learned from sports. But I don't know if I knew the answer. I would tell everyone, but he's got a little bit of the je ne sais quoi, as the French say, the I do not know. I think that's what it translates to.
Yeah, that is what it translates to. And a lot of it could be the it factor. I mean, you know, obviously a couple of years ago, you know, saw this trend. Can he sustain this trend was a question I was having. It's like he has been sustaining this trend. Like this is kind of normal now. Like he was on a call with us and he was talking about a rookie office leaves, gets a $25,000 wire. I thought I'd ask a few more details. Like, oh, how many reps did this ICL start with? Well, 4 guys plus the owner. 4 guys plus the owner. I mean, that's an average of $5 grand of revenue per rep. Like, seriously, this is what's happening. So Yeah,
Hmm.
he's got some magic going on right now. It's
Well, and here's another thing that I've kind of discovered by reverse engineering. They work, his guys work really hard, which is not a surprise, right? But this is a good way. Like on residential, obviously, we work 6 days. What I've learned is crappy managers are playing not to lose. So when they're sitting down, the new guy going over paperwork, they'll say, and we work Monday through Friday, and Saturday's optional because they don't want the shock factor or whatever, right? Average owners will say, um, we work we work 6 days a week, but if you hit a number by Friday, you earn Saturday off. And then all the people that are crushing it, they're like, we work 6 days. Okay. And the way they frame it in all of Hagman's office is, Saturdays is the best day to do residential sales. Everyone's home, generally in a good mood. They just got paid on Friday night, right? And Saturdays are for crushing bonuses. So it's just the expectation. And so exactly what Justin does is if you hit tier 6 on AT&T, so if you're hitting tier 6, you're making, keep me honest here, guys, but $2,600 a week at least. Um, if you hit tier 6 and you have nobody on your team, you can take Saturday off. If you have people on your team, you can only take Saturday off if everybody on your team has hit tier 6. And so if they haven't, you go out with the guy on your team to help him hit tier 6 or her, whatever, right? And so the reason their wires are so big is because they have so many people hitting the high tiers, and those tiers are huge. Like just with hitting tier 6, it's like almost an extra $1,000 for the rep. So it's they're teaching their guys to sort of max out the comp plan, if you will.
and Brennan just put this in the
I
chat.
saw that.
The team that went to Bora Bora, right? Top 10 owners go to Bora Bora. 8 of those top 10 played college sports. That's interesting, huh? Yeah, I've called that out for years in the ads. Like, hey, if you've played NCAA, right? Like just call it out. Like, don't just let it go by chance. Like, hey, spell out who you're looking for. I mean, Adam Dorfman years ago. I want people from the restaurant background to come into my business. So like, throw it out into the universe and watch the universe give it back to you. So yeah, look for athletes. I mean, that's not such a bad strategy. And Ed, I know we're kind of running out of time, but you said, I mean, one of the big themes really with your crew, and I really love this, there's never been a better time than now to get aggressive with your business. Can you extrapolate that?
Yeah, I mean, I can answer this in a few different ways. In 2027, the $1 million consultant bonus is going to get paid out. So if you've kind of been hanging out for a number of years, and this would be a good time to just get it, because I don't care where you're at. If you're a rookie owner, even if you're an assistant manager, I think if you get after it, you can get promoted in 3 years. You'd have to be really on your game, and you have to kind of do the math. Like you have to be running a really good office and promoting people out. But yeah, that's not going to keep happening, right? And this is how I've explained it to the guys as well. That bonus is probably going to get paid out in February of 2027, right? You are now a consultant. So you're going to get 333,333.33. Okay. That's going to be one of the line items on your wire. But if you're doing that, you're also dipping into the promote and owner bonus, obviously, because you've been promoting out, right? And so right now I looked at it like both Rebby and Justin are on track right now to get $218,000 in the promote and owner bonus. It's fucking nuts. So let's just say that you're middle of the road. You're going to get another 150,000. Okay. Well, the guys who are already consultants, okay, they get $3,000 every week whenever their wire's over 20 grand or 25 grand. So that's an extra 150 grand a year. And then any consultants who hit the $1 million club, get another 100 grand. So that wire for a lot of people in February, like Brennan or whatever, it's going to be $700,000. That's nuts. That's nuts. Anyway, so I could answer it that way, in that if there was ever a time to get really aggressive about your business, it would be these next 3 years, right? But I think just in general, I have never seen so many people doing so well, right? And me and Jamie can tell you the old war stories or whatever, selling coupons. You know, the first campaign I was on was stamps.com, got paid $40 every time somebody said yes, right? Just the campaigns are good, the clients are paying us good money. Like, I think they're paying us what we should be getting paid, you know, to go out there and work hard and put up with the negatives or whatever. But the problem always when commissions go up, a lot of people, instead of maintaining their work ethic, they just work less to make the same amount of money, right? And that's kind of human nature. They'll make whatever they need to make, you know? But yeah, if you have a killer work ethic and keep that intensity, like, and again, this is like back in my day, but when me and Hep started, like, seeing 100 doors was kind of what you had to do to eat, right? I mean, we've worked on some crappy campaigns. So I think that yeah, it's just the business is in a good place. I'm of the opinion the economy is going to go to shit fairly soon. It's all smoke and mirrors right now. The president's not going to tell you what's really going on because he wants to get reelected. But I'm already seeing what's happening with the economy because the market never lies. I have some buddies who are in real estate who have just been living high on the hog the last 3, 4, 5 years, and they are feeling the pinch big time. Like, obviously interest rates, and they're not going down, and you know, the real inflation rate right now is probably 20%. People feel that, right? Everything's so expensive. So anyway, you can kind of, you know, the last recession was in 2008. We are so overdue a recession. Since 1942. On average, there's been a recession about every 7 years. And we haven't had one for 15 years, right? And so I think it's going to be a big one. And it sucks for a lot of people because it's definitely going to hurt a lot of people. But in terms of our business, we do better when the economy is worse. Fact. For a few reasons, customers are way more motivated to save a little bit of money. If you can save them $20 a month, you know, when times are good, they're like, whatever. But when they're counting their pennies, they're like, shit, that's $240 a year, you know? So it's easier to sign people up if you're saving them a little bit of money. But really the big thing is the recruiting jumps up. You know, you're already seeing these big tech companies laying off a ton of people. I'm already seeing the quality of individual that's coming into the offices now is the best it's been this last month. I've seen more sharp people come into the Atlanta office than the entire year combined up until now. Promise, you know? And so, like in 2008, I had a day where I did 78 prelims in one day. Like, that's bad. And in 2008, like, a lot of offices had 40 or 50 reps. Like, some of them 60, 70 reps. Right. And so that's about to happen. And so what I think, I mean, who knows, but I'm fairly sure the bubble's about to burst here. And so what I'm really trying to teach or communicate to my owners is, like, you want to be in a position to take advantage of that. Like, you know, if you have crazy good recruiting, but you've only got 4 decent leaders who can train, your growth's going to be stumped, you know? But if you want to have a strong enough office to where you can bring in as many people as possible, you know? And again, these numbers sound crazy, But I have run an office, and I know HEP has too, where we would have 20, 21, 22 second interviews in a day, right? And you can get real picky with who you hire. And, the guys who are in your office, you can uphold very high standards, because they know that they can kind of be replaced. That's the wrong word to use, but like they see that, you got to be on your game. So yeah, I think the next 2 to 5 years are going to be absolutely bonkers. So that's why I think now is the best time in the history of our company to get aggressive and get after it. And what does that really mean? What that means to me is everybody gets comfortable at some point, right? And so it's just, when are you going to get comfortable? So here's, I'll probably need to shut up, but this is something that's fascinated me over the years. My bottom third owners, here's what they do. They'll have like a $10,000 wire. They don't go in the field. They're not that aggressive with their recruiting, whatever. Then 3 or 4 leaders will quit. Now they shit their pants. Now they start doing all the things that they should have been doing in the first place. All of a sudden they're like, I'm going in the field, right? And they're all over their recruiting, right? And within 3, 4, 5 weeks, they get their wire back to 10 grand, right? And then they relax again. And the cycle continues. But if they just kept that intensity up and didn't get comfortable, they would go to 15, 20 grand. They kept it up, they will go to 30 grand. It is so much easier to go from 10 grand to 30 grand. You got momentum, you've got energy in the office. It's a good time, right? There is some legit Jones effects when the new guy comes in. The hardest thing to do in our business is go from a $5,000 wire to a $10,000 wire. You know what I mean? Because you have to kind of theoretically explain what we do. But once your office is at 25, 30 grand, you can run an opportunity meeting, and you can not only say it, you can put your money where your mouth is. You go, that's Devin over there. He's our newest assistant manager. And that's Carmen over there. She's actually going to be opening up her office next month. So the sharp new guy is like, all right, this is legit. And so it's actually even easier to go from a $30,000 to a $40,000 wire, right? And so my opinion is, it's like, where are you going to get comfortable? And because we have a lot of entrepreneurs in our business, right? Once they get to 20 grand, they're like, I'm making some pretty good money here. No one's managing me, so I can do whatever I want. I think I'm going to go play golf on Wednesday afternoon. I think I may go tie shopping this afternoon, right? And it is what it is. And certainly I don't get it, but I'll tell you this. So randomly, the guy that used to live in my house is a big Dallas Cowboys fan. And a couple of weeks ago, this box showed up at our house. I was out of town. I was actually in the Dominican. And my wife opened it, because I actually don't know why. Oh no, she texted the old owner and said, "There's a box here," and he goes, "Oh yeah, you can keep it." She's like, "Okay." So she opens it, and it's a bunch of really nice Dallas Cowboy clothes, gear, hoodie, sweater, bunch of stuff, vest. And so she sends me a picture, and she goes, "Do you know anyone who's a Cowboys fan?" And I was like, I don't know. And then turns out Cooper Brown's a big Cowboys fan. So I'm like, do you want this shit? He goes, "Oh yeah, that'd be great." So I mailed him the box of Cowboy stuff, okay, on like a Monday. And then I called him on Friday night for something else. And I go, "Did you get the Cowboy stuff?" And it was 6:30 on a Friday night. And he goes, "I don't know. I haven't been home yet. I'm here in the office cranking recruiting." There you go. And that dude's already got a $66,000 wire. And he's in the office on Friday at 6:30 cranking recruiting. So like nothing about our business is complicated. You know, was it the cheesy line? It's not, nothing about it's hard. It's just hard work.
Yeah, no doubt that good is the enemy of great. You see
Oh
people
yeah.
doing good and then, hey, I'm comfortable, and then panic mode when things start falling apart. But I hear you, Ed. Well, we appreciate you giving us your time. Obviously, you're working hard, you're traveling right now, so thanks for taking the time here for the crew. So until the next time, my friend.
All right. Have fun, guys.
Okay, thanks, Ed.
Bye.